Sports Night Amplified. Thank you much to the touchdown team, the Tibo Touch alongside Moren as well as Lindy. They are back on the radio on Monday between 3 and 6 p.m. Always look forward to some of the stuff that comes up. The mix is always top. Everything is always nice, is dope, as they say. Yeah. So where you want to be at. So I've got in studio for today. Today is Friday, by the way. We have a Podcast Friday. Biso is there. Nadim Lukele is there. Nadim, everybody start coming into my DM. Where's Nadim? So Nadim is here. Mark Haskins is here as well. We want to be chatting about stories that made top stories of the week. You know, I was going to talk about all of that and go through all of the other stories that we found very interesting. But before we start anything else, breaking news. MT Sports Marketing and Management can confirm that Coach Pitso Mosimane and his technical team have parted ways with Al Wahda Football Club with immediate effect. Coach Pitso Mosimane and his technical team joined Al Wahda Football Club in June 2023, taking charge of the UAE Pro League squad. The South African-led technical team guided Al Wahda Football Club to Arab Club Champions Cup quarterfinal stage in August 2023, which they played away in Saudi Arabia. Al Wahda Football Club currently sits fifth position on the log, 5 points behind the current log leaders in that league. Furthermore, Al Wahda Football Club remains a contender for the Adib Cup after eliminating Emirates FC 8-0 in the last cup fixture. Coach Mosimane would like to thank the Al Wahda Football Club, the board, players, staff, supporters for their warm welcome and support since joining the club early this year. And he wished them all of the best for the remainder of the season. Guys, breaking news. Mark, Biso, I mean, people were talking about the rumors all over the place that Pitso might leave, things are not going to look good. Yeah. Nadim, you want to take it?
Yeah, you know what? It's very sad that a local coach who has really who have done well internationally is starting to lose his job so soon. We're hoping that he's going to actually win a title there. I mean, results count. The rumors have been coming that his contract might be terminated. I mean, it's set for Coach Pitso. But Kaizer Chiefs, they know where to go now if they want a coach because he's available. They really need a coach because, as they said, Kevin Johnson is an interim coach. Pitso is a local guy who has done well, won the league many times. I mean, they should just give the guy a call.
Let's talk about this. I mean, remember that when Coach Pitso Mosimane was a coach of Al Ahly, he brought Coach Kevin Johnson to join him there as one of the assistant coaches at Al Ahly before Kevin Johnson had to come back home for personal reasons. Are you going to see that getting together once again, Mark?
Well, I think that's a possibility. If you look at Kaizer Chiefs' position right now, they have said that Coach Kevin is the interim coach. And if ever they wanted a coach to be available, I think this is probably the guy that they would have wanted available at this moment in time. I mean, I think that's what every single Kaizer Chiefs fan out there would want, a coach with pedigree, a coach who's seen it all and done it all pretty much in a South African perspective and globally has gone out and been successful outside of South Africa. How many coaches, local coaches, can we say that about? And so definitely, I mean, he would be a scoop. He would definitely be a scoop, not just for Kaizer Chiefs, for anybody.
So South African league, we know that usually coaches are given the support team. But Coach Pitso always have his technical team with him. Will that work?
I think for Kaizer Chiefs, if they want him to succeed, they have to give him the freedom to do that, to have his own team, to build a coaching staff of his own and actually take the team forward. I mean, we saw him here a few months back speaking to Andile and speaking about how he's never really been approached by a South African team. There's never been a better time to approach him now. You know, Kaizer Chiefs are in need of a coach of that caliber. Their fans need that. So if they are to get him, they have to give him the freedom to do as he can and bring them back to their glory.
I hear the consensus. Everybody's saying Kaizer Chiefs is they the only team that needs a coach.
No, definitely. I wanted to say even Orlando Pirates, they need a coach because the guy who's there is really struggling. Look at the position. If you look at the lock, you'll think Pirates doesn't exist in the PSL. You have to turn the lock. That's why you see Orlando Pirates. And if you look at the last 10 matches, Pirates have not scored more than 2 goals from only 1 from open play. I mean, so they've scored only 1 goal, not more than 2. They've got a problem. Their strikers are not scoring. He's now playing Diono Hoto, one of the best left wingers in the country. Now he's playing as a left back. One of the top left back in the country, Paseka Mark, was sitting on the bench. You see a lot of things during the matches. You see now a right back being substituted, Monyane. The team is 0-0. Pirates need a goal. You'll see him substituting a right back. what has the right back have done wrong? You need to change forwards or midfielders,
no,
create
no,
chances.
no.
So
Nadim,
I feel
Nadim.
I feel he needs Pirates also. They need a coach. Honestly,
So when he substitutes the right back, who does he bring on?
he brings another right back. Andile.
What's their system? Who do they attack with? How do they attack Pirates? So it's
They
almost like
attack-
you're saying it's
they
not
attack-
an attacking sub.
No, it's not an attacking side because
It is
usually
it may be a defender, but it's an attacking sub because Pirates play with the wing backs. That's why they play with two pivots. They play literally with their two wing backs going forward. That's who scored for them in the last game.
yeah, but you can use
Wait, who scored for
you
them?
can
in
use
the,
that.
Wait, who scored for them in the last
I know
game?
Munyane scored.
Where does he play?
Is a right back.
Exactly, because their right backs are playing forward. Their wing back, their left
No.
back.
What you're
Even
saying is not
Gianotto.
true. It's not true because last season Pirates, Saleng,
Yeah,
he
that
always
was last
good wingers.
season.
You need to have good wingers. Saleng, Lodge, they are the one who's
So
supposed to be
tactics
scoring a
can't
lot of
change
goals.
season
No,
by
he
season.
has not changed.
Tactics can't change season upon
Pirates
season.
is a team that always defenders
But
used to score.
let's bring Biso.
Even Kogi can score. Every defender can score. You can't use that one. and
Nadim
think-
is saying now the man
Yeah.
that is in charge of Orlando Pirates have won 3 trophies, by the way, since he arrived at Orlando Pirates. Yes, he just lost one of those, been knocked out in the Carling knockout.
Yes.
He's not sitting very well as far as the league is concerned. Got them the second position last season.
Yes.
They went into the CAF Champions League, knocked out by Jwaneng Galaxy. He says it's one of those that needs to go.
I think I would say it's a little too early to make that decision now. I mean, they just came off winning a trophy right now. Yes, they are having a very bad patch right now because the struggle for Orlando Pirates right now is scoring goals. If they can address that, they can get back to winning ways. But I think to say that the coach needs to go right now, if you're looking at the two of them, Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, the one that actually needs a coach right now is looking for a coach is Kaizer Chiefs. So that's why I would suggest that Kaizer Chiefs is the better option. But I would say it's still too early for
Pirates are
Orlando
not looking
Pirates.
for a coach. Pirates coach has done the
So
business.
Nadim, you
Who
believe
told you,
that?
who told you they're not looking for
I
a
would
coach?
say
But how do you know they're not? How do you know they're not looking for a
I'm
coach?
saying what I would say.
Okay, but you're not.
I would say
you
is
don't know for a fact.
Pirates-
You don't know for a fact.
Let's bring it
You
down.
don't know for a fact.
Okay, we'll get to that department when
Yeah.
when he delve deeper into the Soweto Derby later on.
Okay.
Let's get now through the stories. I mean, these are some of the stories that make, because it's Podcast Friday, we look at some of the interesting stories that came up. Andile Ncube had a chat with John Committees, the chairperson of Cape Town City, one of the members that sits in a national the executive committee of PSL, one of the board of governors, because all the 32 teams are part of the governors. And he had a very interesting conversation. And one of the players that I remember when Andile had Rwanda Mokwena a few weeks before, he mentioned that Sundowns are looking for a striker, they're looking for someone around. And then he mentioned that Khanyisa Mayo, his price tag is 37 million. Let's listen to this.
I'll check the dollar rate, but it was $2 million.
Yeah, so it's around about 37 million at the moment. Does this include if you're keeping him in the local market, if you're selling him locally to a club in the DStv Premiership, or is that maybe a price for if he does go outside of our boundaries?
No, there's only one price for Mayo.
Only one price for Mayo, and that is around 2 million US, which is around 37 million rand. Mark?
I have no issues with that.
Okay.
I honestly have no issues with that. If you look at the exorbitant prices that are being paid globally, is Jack Grealish worth $100 million or whatever the case may be? Jude Bellingham, what did Jude Bellingham go for? So when you look by contrast, what they're asking is actually pittance compared to what the global market is saying. And so the global market has risen exponentially. Why shouldn't the local market? And Khanyisa Mayo, when you look at longevity as well, he's still got a good number of years. You can get at least 10 good years out of him. So
Yeah.
that's everything that's taken into account.
Is it more of a situation when you convert the money more than anything else? Because if you look at it in a bigger picture, it's only 2 million US.
Yes.
But if you now start converting that to South African rands, the numbers started going a bit crazy. Something that you're not really used to as South Africans.
Yeah, if you look at how Lyle Foster was bought by Burnley, 7 million from Belgium,
Yeah.
and he's not far off. This one is 2 million. I honestly think it's a fair price for him because he's one of those proven goal scorers in the league. He's on 6 goals. Last season he scored 12 goals. You can see that he's a guy that is improving. He might score more than 12 goals this season. We don't know. But if you look at that, it's always like with them, when you look at our currency, we don't usually disclose the transfer fees. We don't know Tapelo Maseko, how much Sundowns bought him for from SuperSport or Ronan Williams or Tepom Kwena. So maybe it's the price that has been going around, but we're not sure how much Sundowns have been paying to SuperSport United.
Are we more shocked because you're not used to actually knowing the numbers when
Yes.
players move around and what their salary is going to be?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. I mean, if you look at the valuations that are given for South African for players in the league, you look at Shalulile, most reports are that he's somewhere around the 50 millions. You know, and Allende was bought for somewhere reported fee is 51 million. That's the fees that people have paid for those players. Now, if you're looking at a Khanyisa Mayo, a player that 2 years ago scored 4 goals in the league. Last season, he came back with 12 goals in the league. This season, he already has 6 goals in the league. So he's a player that is improving gradually and getting to his peak. So I would say it's a fair price if you're looking at the amounts that are being paid for people. And I think another influence with that price for Mamelodi Sundowns, because John Committees, if he's selling to a big team, right? If you're looking at Mamelodi Sundowns and the monies that they are getting from the AFLs and stuff like that, club bosses are going to be looking at that as a way now to negotiate higher prices for their players, to say, you know what, if you're making this much money, now I can push the price a little further. So for me, I think it's a fair price.
Gentlemen, do you think it's about time that you start knowing exactly what players are getting when they move to teams, or is something supposed to be still be kept as confidential?
It's always football dictates that it needs to be transparent. It's done that worldwide. In South Africa, it's not supposed to be an exception. We're supposed to know, so that if they rob a player and pay a player 5,000 rand, we need to know that, okay, you're signing this kind of money, and how much is your salary and the length of your contract and all those kind of things. Football dictates that is standard. South Africa aspire to be one of the best leagues in the world, so they need to follow the best leagues in the world.
I can tell you one thing about the numbers when it comes to Khanyisa Mayo. He is now Cape Town City's all-time top scorer as we speak at the moment, because he has scored in 4 matches, scored 5 goals. In the last 4 matches, scored 5 goals. So he's one of those players that is sitting and following the tracks of one Kemet Erasmus and some other players who are legendary in SA football. Now, John Committee also spoke about, you just mentioned, you said the reason because Sundowns are playing in the AFL, maybe people will start jacking up the price and everything else. Let's see what he has to say about AFL and how it's going to impact things going forward.
I certainly have my concerns. I certainly don't think anyone in our organization is against progress for football in the African continent, but certainly not at the detriment of our local that was taken 20 years with the vision of Kaizer Motaung and Dr. Koza to build an industry in South Africa that unsurpassed. Nobody else in Africa has what we have in South Africa.
Listen, when this came up, I remember there was a huge debate around whether Sundowns will play or not. And the Board of Governors met and they said no. Then eventually they came back and they allowed them to go and play in this. Is AFL good for us?
I don't like it. I think it's bad. I don't even...
Why?
Because there's Champions League, there's Cup, Confederations Cup. You rather maybe change or add more teams in the Champions League or the Confederations Cup. Why are you adding 3 tournaments? Which other league all over the world, where the continental tournament is 3 major tournaments? I actually don't even see the need of it. I don't even know where do they get it from, because they tried to do it in the Super League. It didn't work. Everyone in Europe was saying this thing is not good, because now we're not going to see Sundowns playing Kaizer Chiefs or Sundowns honoring most of their matches, because usually Sundowns now they were supposed to play Amazulu, they were supposed to play Salos. They are busy with the preparation, rightfully so. So I mean, we're not going to see the league. Actually, the best teams in the league competing week in and week out. That's why I don't like it.
Is it a matter of the fact that Sundowns were chosen over some of the fans' favorites, like your Kaizer Chiefs, like your Orlando Pirates?
When you look at it at this point, I think this was a pilot. And that's why it only had 8 teams. So this was obviously the pilot. We've been told that the next edition is going to have 24 teams. The structure, the format of that, I'm not sure about. I'd love to see exactly what the idea is, because this one was a straight knockout. And I think we'll obviously expound on that.
I'll give you a breakdown of the AFL, what it means and what is going to happen with that after this. Quick update of the cricket is currently on at the moment. Afghanistan against South Africa. Afghanistan put out for 244, South Africa 24-7 for 5. South Africa winning by 5 wickets with 15 balls left. So good one indeed for South Africa. Somebody was saying to me, it is very sad to be part of an overachieving sporting nation, because now I just came out of understanding what rugby is all about. Now I've got to start learning cricket. Let's continue the AFL story. I mean, Nadim, when it initially came up, I remember it was supposed to be the African Super League.
Yes.
And it was therefore changed to become the African Football League. One of the reasons why the teams that were eventually put together, the 8 teams, it was the best performing team from the north, from the western side, from the eastern side, the central side, and as well as the western side, as well as the SADC region. Hence, we we have Petro Luanda and Sundowns, being the two from the SADC region. We have Simba coming from the eastern side. We also have Inyimba coming from the western side. We have 3 teams that are coming from the north, being Esperance, Al Ali, as well as Wydad. And we also had TP Mazembe from a central part of Africa as the trial was put together. One of the initiatives that has been put forward in this is that schools are going to benefit from this. Development structures of countries and teams are going to be able to benefit from this after this. Hence, you have Saudi as part of the sponsors. Rwandans came on as part of the sponsors. Hence, even this exorbitant prize money for the first edition of this. So, as you're saying, Mark, next year it has to go to 24. Why do you think it's not good for us?
I think it's not good because there's Champions League. CAF Champions League is not being scrapped. It's going to be there.
Yeah.
And then there's CAF Confederations Cup.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. So why do you need so many? Why can't you improve what is there? Make it a better product.
Yeah.
And do that through the CAF Champions League. What's stopping you? Because now we are destroying the leagues across the world. That's why sometimes I'm always not a fan where a businessman is running football. Imagine Elon Musk running FIFA. Because you'll end up like doing things that as a football administrator will not do. So I honestly don't like it because of that. That's why I agree with John Committees. The PSL is one of the best brand in the African continent. The league is watched by even people who don't care about football. It's a good product. It's on TV. The big games are almost there. You'll see the social tap. But now if you're putting the Champions League and then you're putting the Confederations, now you're adding more.
Let me ask you. Let me ask this question before Mark comes in. Mark, I'm going to take you now. Sundowns are on top of the lock. They have not been playing now for the matches you was mentioned already.
Exactly.
They're still not defeated. They're still sitting on top and they're still top of the lock even though they're not playing.
Yeah.
So clearly they're the best team and they're playing against the best in the continent. What's wrong with that?
What is wrong is because they will add other teams from the PSL, right? It's not like it's going to be Sundowns. They will expand. Remember, Kaizer Chiefs was supposed to be there in Orlando.
But it's supposed to be good for the PSL going forward. If you do add more teams and are playing more competitive football against other teams.
The reason why it's so bad, the attention will move away from the domestic leagues and go to the continental league. That's the problem.
Let's bring Mark in. Mark?
I was very skeptical, obviously, at the introduction of the AFL, purely because I wasn't sure where it fits in. But having watched it, having covered it, I am all for it. Ultimately, what do we play sports for? And I understand John Committis' point where he said, it's maybe going to distract from the league and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is the league about? What is sport about? Ultimately, it's about the fans. And for me, ultimately, as a fan, I've absolutely loved the AFL. I've loved watching the games, the level of competition. My dad is one of the hardest people to please out there. He watched the first leg of the final, and he was blown away. He basically said both these teams can go and play in Europe. And I agree with him. We advertising what Africa is about. We're literally bringing the world, Africa to the world. We're exporting our product.
Yeah.
This football, the level of football that's played, is going to literally create such a buzz around Africa and football in Africa. It's going to create positive attention in Africa, and that's what's needed. We need to bring eyes towards Africa when it comes to a footballing perspective. That hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I believe CAF has been there. The Confed has been there. Have this many eyes been on Africa? I don't think so. And I believe the quality of the product is what's going to really set Africa apart.
I think the Saudis coming in and everybody else coming in together has made it very big. But let me say this, Biso. If you go back to looking at the CAF Confederations Cup that Nadim just mentioned, some teams that got onto the semi-finals got relegated. So it means now, if you're watching the AFL, it is the teams that have the money, who've been able to perform at that level, who can have so many number of players.
Yes.
When you are now finding yourself playing the AFL and playing the Champions League or the CAF Confederations Cup, when you don't have the sort of financial muscle that the Sundowns, Al Ali and Esperance and Wydad have, can you survive?
I don't think you can. Look, I understand the concept of the AFL. I see the product that they are putting out there. It's amazing to watch. It's fun to watch. But the problem that I have with it is that, like Nadim said, it devalues the existing competitions. So you've got the CAF Champions League. So the reason why, personally, I feel like the reason why you have an AFL is because in the CAF Champions League or the Confed Cup, like you mentioned, you can have the smaller teams having good runs and getting into the semis. Then you don't get your dream final or your dream semi-final. With the AFL, it gives them that opportunity to have those dream matchups that people want to watch. That's what draws in the crowds. You understand? That's where I have an issue with it. The fact that in the long run, it just devalues the likes of our CAF Champions Leagues, our CAF Confed Cup, even the leagues themselves. And that's why it was rejected in Europe. The fans were excited about it at first. But at some point, they realized that, wait a minute, what about the Champions League?
Okay, let me do this.
Brian,
yeah.
Why are we putting a limit on what fans can enjoy? Why does one have to compete with the other? Why can't we enjoy the AFL in isolation and still enjoy the CAF and the Confed? If we can fit it all into the schedule, if we can make it work, clearly they won't propose it or bring this on board if they didn't feel they can. It was realistic to put on the schedule. Why can't we enjoy all of this?
No. You're losing something, Mike.
I'll come back to you. You can join the conversation. The WhatsApp number 060-552-7303. Do you agree or disagree? Is AFL good or bad? That's the big thing. I mean, that's everyone. Everybody's going to be. End of the day, is it good or is it bad? So the number 060-552-7303. Let's have your opinion. Nadim doesn't agree. Biso doesn't agree.
Yeah.
Mark says, you know what? Hey, the more the merrier. We all want to have fun. We all want to go out there and enjoy. Let's go now through some of the stories. When Arthur Zwane was removed from sitting as the head coach at Kaizer Chiefs after being co-coach with Dylan Shepherd, he was moved to where he was originally as into the youth department. People said that's demotion, But Kaizer Motaung Jr. says, no, it's not.
I think I also can't say that it's demotion. I think that everyone who is able and luckily and privileged to work at this institution understands that we all get called to duty. And if you get employed to that position or in that position, we're all very grateful to be able to wear that badge. And I think Coach Arthur is one person who also understands where this team comes from, what this team means, and is very focused at being able to bring the talent that we know the team wants in the future from our academy side. So just very much focused on the task.
Gentlemen, this is what Kaizer Motaung Jr. says.
What is Gerard Bego's position at Kaizer Chiefs? He's a team manager, right?
Yes.
If Kaizer Motaung Jr. is a sporting director, can be taken to a team manager, will it not be a demotion?
But let's go back. Let's compare what right.
No, definitely. I'm trying to. I mean,
it will be regarded as a demotion.
Of course, it
will be a demotion. Definitely.
This one is not even a debate. I mean, I think Kaizer Motaung Jr. knows the truth. They demoted Atazwane because the results were not coming. But that's why they even moved him from the assistant coach to lower division because the results were still not coming. Even if so, I mean, it's a demotion. Maybe Mike and Pedro they see it otherwise.
Maybe Singisi, ne?
Yeah.
No, it's demotion, we understand.
I think we're just caught up in a case where Kaizer Motaung is just trying to find a way to sugarcoat it properly and package it properly so that he saves Atazwane's reputation also. And, just those relations seem like they're still okay. But we also, the dire form that Kaizer Chiefs were in, they needed to be changes. And taking him back to development is a way of saying, you know what, you were promoted to head. Bringing him to head coach was a promotion. Taking him back is a demotion by law of English.
Okay, Mark?
The guys, I can't put it any better. Ultimately, it has to be a demotion, and it's part of the game. I think Arthur Zwane did fantastically well when he was in the development structure. So from being head coach, normally a club would get rid of you. Yeah. But they clearly see value in what he did while he was in the academy, and so they've taken him back to the academy. But, I mean, every coach, when you advance and develop in your career, you go from the academy structures to the top level of the job. Yeah. Going back is definitely a demotion.
How does it feel for Arthur? Because he was sitting as the man in charge of the youth teams. Then he went in to become the assistant coach and became caretaker coach, eventually became the coach. Now, Kevin Johnson arrived to run the youth team. He's now taking over his position, caretaker role at the moment. He's gone to where he is. What will be going through his head at the moment he looks at things the way they've gone?
He should be very happy and thankful that he's still there at Kaizer Chiefs after what he did in the first team, because the team performed very badly under him. I mean, you remember that boy in Jabulo Ngobetsolos was the defender of the season. Yeah. Now he didn't shake Atazwane's hand. He was dropped from the team entirely, and all those kind of things. It didn't work for Kaizer Chiefs. The results were not there. Sometimes if you are having now he's back in the team Jabulo Ngobo to show that he's a quality player. He deserves to play for Kaizer Chiefs. If you do those kind of things, you must make sure you win. He didn't win. So everything. He didn't even win a single trophy. You will say the demotion was despair because he failed when they give him the senior position as a head coach. The result didn't come. So, and unfortunately, football is a results-driven business. I mean, it is. Even Kaizer Motaung Jr. in that position, he has to perform. Just like he wants the team to perform. Everyone in that position at Kaizer Chiefs, Jesse Motaung is promoting the team. He said 80,000 supporters tomorrow or more than will watch the Soweto Derby. In each and every field, it's a big team. It's the biggest team in South Africa. The spotlight is in each and every one who occupy a position there.
There's some good news from a Kaizer Chiefs point of view because the man that founded the team, the man they call Chincha Guluva, Dr. Kaizer Motaung, was honored and was inducted into the South African Hall of Fame. I can tell you this is a huge honor because we're sitting and going through how they're going to come about, and it's a huge thing. I mean, let's talk about some of the inductees before this. You can talk about the likes of the 1995 and 2007 rugby winning World Cup team, Gary Player, the late former President Nelson Mandela, we talked Desmond Tutu, Bafana's team of 1996 that won the Nations Cup. So those are some of the inductees that have come up in that particular setup.
Yeah, I think it's well deserved. Certainly well deserved.
Let's just get comments on that.
Truly speaking, I can only say I'm grateful, but I'm also proud that everything I did towards the transformation and development of football did not go to waste. So I'm very happy that there has been progress that there for everyone to see. But as I said, the future belongs to the youth, and therefore it comes a time where you have passed the baton.
It's going to be a huge honor as well because this coming tomorrow when we do cover the derby, he's going to be honored. And it's very good because it's going to be there. Team that he played for, that made him, Orlando Pirates, up against the team that he founded, Kaizer Chiefs. Huge honor. Gentlemen, let's talk about Chincha Gulu. Let's talk about Kaizer Motaung.
I believe it's long overdue. I'm surprised that it hadn't happened already. In the list that you were speaking of right now, you were mentioning sporting entities, which is the Bafana team, the Springboks team. What he has done with Kaizer Chiefs, even if you're just looking at the years that he spent playing in North America, and then he came back here, he created this team, and what they have become, arguably, not even arguably, for sure, the biggest team in South Africa, one of the biggest teams on the continent. For him to have taken that from the ground up is something that should have been honored a long time ago. So it's beautiful to see that it has finally been done, and hopefully it's the start of many.
Mark?
Yeah, I think if you look at Kaizer Chiefs as a club, phenomenal entity in the South African space. I think the only thing that's missing at Kaizer Chiefs right now, and I'm sure it's in the pipeline, is a stadium. Owning and their own stadium outright. Other than that, if you look at what they have, Nature Arena, if you've ever been there, the facility, probably the best in the country. I don't think any club owns a facility of that quality. At the club, everything you want is there. It's conducive environment to creating beautiful football, and so that's all his handwork. That's all come from his labor, his toil. And so congratulations to him. Congratulations to the organization as a whole. And yes, I agree with Pitso. Long overdue and well deserved.
Yeah, I was shocked that it was honored by South African Hall of Fame now. I thought it was honored a long time ago. I mean, now they should be honoring Bobby Motaung, Dr. Khumalo, and all those kind of people. I mean, now maybe even Panyaza Lusuf is supposed to be changing the Golden Highway to Kaizer Motaung Highway.
Yeah.
He has done so much. I mean, you can't speak highly enough of him. He's like the guy. He's the godfather of South African football. I mean, without him, I don't even think the country's football would be where it is. What he has created, I mean, I don't think anyone anywhere in the world has ever created. While we are still playing, you create a team, and it turned out to be the best in the continent. It has to be. So that's why it's a brand everywhere it is. Like tomorrow is playing, the results are not there, but the team will still attract the fans all over Southern Africa. Wherever you go, you see a Kaizer Chiefs jersey. I honestly revere him. He's one of the greatest ever to be. I mean, be greatest South African football. Even in terms of playing, they say he was a top player. What he did as an Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs player, he did well. I mean, I think the guys at Sport Hall of Fame, honestly, they should have done it a long time ago. I wouldn't say they are sleeping on the job, but they should have done. Kaizer Motaung, just being after so many years creating such an empire, you just in that team, like really.
Dr. Motaung, congratulations and all of the best. I got to say, this is something that I'm happy I was able to see in my lifetime. Now, mental health is a serious problem. You know, most of the time you see players doing certain crazy stuff. We know family members and all of that. And Lyle Foster has come out at Burnley to say he's suffering. And Vincent Kompany, this is what he had to say about Lyle Foster when it comes to mental health.
Lyle's been having issues with his mental well-being. As a club, we've very quickly, very naturally made the decision to fully support him, support his family, obviously offer him access to all the expertise and clinical support that he needs. And at the moment, I think for him, we're wishing him a speedy recovery, and we're wishing him to be in a better place by the time he's ready to come back to us.
Okay. Wishing Lyle Foster all of the best. And I think, when you talk about this, mental health is a very, very big thing. The fact that he has come out and spoken about it and he's getting help and support from Burnley, he's been one of the best export they have in the team. And Vincent Kompany is very close to him as well. Mark, you played football. Let's talk about mental health in players. I mean, this is before you get to the next story.
I think it's too much of a taboo topic, and people don't take it seriously enough. When you look at the world of sports and the expectation put on athletes in general, and everyone deals with things very differently, and so it's easy to say, why would one suffer and not the other? But the reality is everybody's different, and he's in revered company when you look at the athletes in recent times that have come out and said they struggled with depression and that kind of thing. I mean, Simone Biles, probably the greatest gymnast of all time. We see Novak Djokovic go through some, Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka.
Yeah.
The list is endless. There's so many, and I'm actually proud of Lyle that he's actually reached out for assistance. He's reached out for help, because it's so the taboo around it, and you're seen as soft, or you're seen as someone who can't deal with their issues. It's a real problem, and speaking about it and getting help is the way to go. And so I'm actually really proud of him that he's taken a step back and said, coach, or spoken to the club and voiced and said, look, guys, I'm struggling. And you know what? People must understand, when it wasn't great in his career, he was suffering and he went through a bout of depression. He's been on song. He's been probably Burnley's best player in the EPL when people weren't really sure that he would make the grade. Yeah. He's been their best player, and he's still going through it. So it's not a thing of when he was down, he was suffering. He's on a high right now, and he's suffering from it. So that speaks volumes about what players go through. And so it's, people, we need to educate ourselves on it. And he really, I must say it again, I'm proud that he's sought help and that the club are assisting him.
Tell you, I've gone through mental health and I know exactly what that does. So well done to Burnley and also to Lyle, wishing him a speedy recovery. Now, another breaking story. You guys were here and you spoke about it, and you spoke about Itumeleng Khune retiring. Mark, you made the headlines. You were in newspapers everywhere. Everybody's talking about you. That's what Itu has to say about what you gentlemen said in studio about him, about the retirement story.
That is also not guaranteed yet. It will depend with my performances on the field. I did mention at the start of the season that my body can still carry me until I'm 40 plus. If Buffon could do it until 45, El Hadari could do it until 44. Who am I at the age of 36 to entertain the fact that someone has an idea that Itu must retire? It will depend on my performances, and come end of the season, we will look at the stats, we will look at what I can still contribute going forward, and that's when they can make yet another decision. Because in the past, goalkeepers and players have retired. They had to come out of retirement to come back and compete again. So it's not different, because I'm still playing and I want to continue competing going forward.
I remember one goalkeeper, Andre Arendse. He was retired and they had to play a game because there was an injury to a player. He was sitting around 10 coaches. He came off, he was around 40.
Yeah,
when he came with the field of play. Let's talk about the retirement issue. Let's tackle that one first, because you gentlemen are the one that really broke the story down around retirement issue around him.
I don't think Itumeleng Khune should retire. I mean, I will never say a player should retire. Only him knows when his body can carry him. But the fact is, he's no longer good enough to be Kaizer Chiefs number one. The statistics say that only one win in the matches he has played. All the matches they've been losing when he's playing. When Peterson is playing,
what must he do then?
You can get another team. You can go to Swallows. You can go to Royal AM. You can go to Stellenbosch. You can go to Cape Town. There are lots of PSL.
So you say he's not good enough for Chiefs, but he's good enough for other
He's no
teams.
longer good enough for Chiefs, Khune. That says that. Even that's why tomorrow, if he can play tomorrow in the derby, Chiefs would lose to Pirates, because he's not been good enough. I mean, you see that 17-year-old kid that scored a goal against Khune.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that boy is even writing matric now, or next year is writing matric. He's not good enough, Khune. Before Khune, that boy will never score against Khune. He was unbeatable. That's why they will say Mzansi is number one. Rightfully so. That's why even in the national team, when they call, Khune is nowhere near the national team because they don't want to lose. They want to qualify for World Cups and AFCONs. So I can't say he must retire. If he feels he can still play, he can even go to the NFD if the PSL, maybe there are no teams. He can. I mean, players can play in a way.
Sometimes I wonder what world Nadim lives in. So you're saying the 17-year-old wouldn't score against old? I
am saying the story is Khune is
okay.
Only him, he knows when to retire.
I'm going to say this, and
I am saying he's still good enough
to
play for PSL, not Chiefs.
No, I also have never said Khune must retire.
Yeah.
I said the reality is either Khune is number one at Chiefs or he leaves Kaizer Chiefs. I still believe he's got a good number of years. If he's but they must decide either he's the number one at Kaizer Chiefs or he's not. Being a number two at Chiefs is not good for the club because of the shadowy cast. I've explained this countless times. But he has the ability to be number one. He's still, we know the quality that he possesses. So either Chiefs decide Khune is our number one or he has to leave the club.
But
that was the point I made.
Yesterday I had Kenny Mwene here. We were talking about the competition within the team. And when he was there, they had Dennis Onyango who came over and took over from him. He became the number one. He had to actually play second fiddle to him, but he still delivered when he was called upon. So what is different with Itumeleng Khune when you come to the same setup where a Peterson gets chosen over him, or a Bruce Vuma, for an example, can be chosen over him? What makes him that different from a Kennedy Mwene or any other team for that matter?
For me personally, the shadow that he cast, I spoke about that at length. I said the fact that the goalkeepers that have come after him and have challenged him and competed with him, even when there were times they should have and they deserve to be number one, the fact that he's on the bench and the legend that he is, when you look at the fans and just his image at the club, Khune can't be an understudy. Khune can't be number two to anyone because of the status that he holds at the club.
Pitso?
I think it's always a tricky situation when you're talking about Khune because of the amount of love that he has from not only Kaizer Chiefs fans but South African football fans as a whole because of what he has represented for so many years. So it's a bit of a slippery slope with that conversation, but I do believe that he's no longer at a level where he can be the number one at Kaizer Chiefs, right? Mark has spoken a lot about the shadow that he casts over the other goalkeepers, and there's so much truth to that. But at the same time, also I believe it's also up to the other goalkeepers at the club to step up and be good enough in those times when they are playing. I mean, we've seen the mistakes that Peterson, for example, has made. Some real howlers week in, week out. So it makes it difficult for that conversation to really run its course. But unfortunately, Itumeleng Khune is no longer at that level anymore where he can be the number one at Kaizer Chiefs.
Do you agree with the gentleman? Nadim says that Itumeleng Khune must move to another team where he's going to be able to get game time. Mark says if he stays at Chiefs, he's going to be the number one goal. He cannot be second fiddle to anybody else. Biso believes that, given what he has done, he really deserves to be, but he's not supposed to be at Kaizer Chiefs as well. The number is 060-552-7303. You can send us your WhatsApp voice notes. And also your call is 086-2160. Tell you one thing, the time is now 9 minutes before we get to the end of the show. Let's quickly go through the Sports Night Amplified Player and Club of the Week. Nadim, you first.
I've been impressed with Thabiso Mosimane from Orlando Pirates. I don't know why the coach always changes the right back. I honestly, even scoring. I mean, he disappointed the coach by scoring before he take him off because he always take him off. I don't even know why.
And for your club?
The club of the week, it has to be Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, winning 3-2. I mean, the team was coming in the second half. We know Kevin Johnson is just new at Kaizer Chiefs. That was his second match. But scoring 3 goals and creating so many chances, I was impressed with Kaizer Chiefs because you were not they've been drawing those kind of matches or even losing.
Mark?
Well, the youngster Luke Bartman, to get his debut goal in the league at 17 years old, did exceptionally well. And then also Keenan Phillips scored an absolute crackover goal to give Swallows the win and take them up to 5th on the log. Absolutely stellar goal. Ran the ball from his own half and hit a cracker into the back of the net. So definitely those 2 players, my standout players.
And then as far as the club?
From a club perspective, if we're saying is not make sure, I would say we need consistency from Richards Bay. They've got into a semi-final of a cup competition but lost again in the league. They need to really, in the league, do the business.
I would say Junior Dion for me, the hat trick for Amazulu in the first half even was really beautiful to see for a PSL game, a PSL competition game.
Yeah.
And then the club that I would like to highlight as having done well this week. I know that it will sound controversial, but for me, Cape Town Spurs coming back, winning against Orlando Pirates the way that they did, and even if they lost against Kaizer Chiefs, the fact that they still gave a good account of themselves, they still drove it to the end of the match, for me was a good omen.
All right, cool. Let's now bring on the line Opta Jarb is going to talk about the big one. The derby's coming up tomorrow, Opta. Things have changed a lot, haven't they? Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Brian. Thank you for having me on the show. Things have changed a lot indeed.
11 years is a long time. Let's talk about the numbers when you talk about 11 years ago.
Yes, Brian, we were just digging through some of these numbers. The big question has been how far Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs have fallen over the years. And what we found is that 11 years ago on this weekend, Chiefs and Pirates were actually first and second on the table on 9 November 2012.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Sundowns were bottom of that league, and all teams had played as many games, all had played 10.
Let's look at both teams coming to this derby with a win. When was the last time this happened?
So, the last time it happened that both teams came into this game with a win was against September 2013, another 10-year stretch.
The big one, Tembi Nkosi Lodge could actually join the lead group of players when you talk about players in the NSL era. 5 goals, what he has so far. Who can he join?
Yeah, so he loves this game, Tembi Nkosi Lodge. This is his 5th. He's had 5 goals so far already in the derby, more than any other active player. If he scores this weekend, at least 1 goal, he will join Jerry Kosana and Fanny Madida as the top-scoring derby scorers in the NSL era.
Let's now move on and look at stuff as far as the AFL is concerned. We know that the Northern dominate in the North, but they're not doing so well when you come to South Africa.
Yes, indeed, Brian. When they come to our land, they kind of struggle a little bit. The same happened with Al Ahly. We had that stat a few years ago. Wydad as well have a similar record. So they've never won a match away to PSL opposition. Having played 8 games, they've drawn 4, lost 4, and haven't won a single one. Of the 4 losses, 3 of them came against Sundowns, while the 1 loss came against Chiefs in 2021. So it's going to be an interesting one as well this coming Sunday.
Opta, as always, thank you very much for taking time to have a chat with us. The numbers are telling, as always. All of the best for the teams that are playing this weekend. Let's continue the conversation on the Podcast Friday. I tell you, things are eating up. Let's try and actually get what the listeners are saying on the line.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303. Waking up, turned up.
Sabana studio qiniso ngila eThekwini bafethu kwamasho. Ngithi mina iAFL right for imali and futhi mabe bezoyigcina ibe knockout kanje isheshe, but ukuthi izongena like idlale njenge Champions League angicabanga ukuthi izosiza thina, especially mawubheka kwi domestic league kwiminyane utshume sinama cup out 3 and nemidlalo ye league eminingi, and then khona i-Champions League kuzoba khona i-Confed at the same time lapho khona futhi i-fixture yama national teams, so abadlali bezothola isikhathi enough ukuthi bephumule bazodlala nje one way. So ngicabanga ukuthi mina ingaba right uma bezogcina kanje ibe top 8, but as kade nisho lapha estudio next time izoba nama teams amaningi, ngicabanga ukuthi izobheda kakhulu.
Hi, good evening, gents. Listening to Nadim speak, I don't know if he's trying to be sarcastic or he's actually factual. I have to agree with Mark Haskins. I also don't know what world Nadim lives in. The guy just loves talking.
Molweni studio. Ndino abuyile baba begqibe khona Nadim ndiyafuna naye. Every game ukhune ekhona kwiKaizer Chiefs. Kuhleli kuskorwa kuye ngalo xesha, kusihloko kuskorwa kuye ngalo xesha. Awukhune unyaniseni Nadim akahamba aye kwezi team zisicimba sincinci. Kwezi team ncinci alright pha kuMoro kaSwallows napho ko TS Galaxy awudlala pha. Danko skim.
Wow. Okay, now Nadim, you want to come in?
Yeah, no, definitely. The stats are there. Khune has been struggling at Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, it's no longer an issue. Even tomorrow, we expect Peterson to come back in the lineup if Kaizer Chiefs were to win the game. So it's one of those things where Peterson has done better than him, but he's also been making mistakes. Now, because the Kune's crew, immediately Peterson makes a mistake, they say he wants Kune back. It's always been a problem.
All right, let's go to the lines. We got Steve. He's coming from Foslora. Steve, you're live on Metro FM.
How good, guys?
Good, my guy. You can go ahead.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to waste your time. Yeah, I think the AFL, personally, to me, it's a good one. I think it's going to grow the league. Our guys are also going to experience more competition out there. I think, Nadim, we must allow change, my guy. We cannot be always being stuck on the 6 million Black Label and the 8 million MTN8. Let's allow our team to grow and also our guys to get more competition out there so that it can also grow our team, because the competition that we're getting locally is not assisting us anyhow, or when it comes to the national team. When you go there, you're going to see now we're going to get teams like Morocco. We're going to get a very strong challenge there. Thank you.
Let's go to Mandla and Witbank. Mandla, Witbank, how's it, Mandla?
Awesome, Brian.
Good, my guy. You can go ahead.
A quick one on AFL, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, change is imminent. The only thing that knows to change is a baby that is wet. So Nadine, stop being a baby that is wet. Accept change. Sundowns are doing good. And I wonder, United always cut deep on that line. It's all about Pirates, Chiefs. If it was Chiefs and Pirates that were participating, there wouldn't be this noise. That's accept.
All right. Okay, Mandla. Let's move on. We've got Kenny from Sosha. You have the final say, my guy.
Sure, my brother. Lovely show, let me say.
Thank you.
I think, for me, on the side of AFL and other competitions, let's allow to open the games. We have seen that in South Africa especially, we struggle for our players to showcase themselves out there in the outside world. Maybe this is one competition which can attract that attention. That's my take on that one.
All right.
On Kune, on Kune and Kaizer Chiefs, Nadine, I think you are hard on Kune. I don't think the question of Kune having not had a clean sheet in the 9 games is an issue. The goalkeeper is also as good as the defense that he has on him. So if the defense is also slippery, then also the goalkeeper is in danger. The beautiful goal.
All right, Kenny, thank you very much for that one, my guy. All of the best. Thanks for all the comments, guys. Mark, you want to say something quickly?
Just in closing, I think he makes a good point. And Khanyisa Mayo, for me, one of the best players in the country. I think there's international interest in him now.
Yeah.
Why?
There's no good point there because there's still the Cup Champions
platform,
League. It's still the same team. It's still the same teams that
the platform that
we can go on forever on that one there. We can go on forever. Biso, thank you very much. Nadim, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
Mark Yaskin, thank you very much for being here as well.